Hey, new day. Decided to take a step back from the nose and get the doors lined up better so that I know they're in the right position, so at least I can start working the front and rear edges of the doors while knowing that I'm pretty comfortable with where the front end sits now. So my feeling is I went through, and you can see I took a bunch of measurements, and specifically the fender sticks out quite a bit further than the door right now. So the door's got to come out. I'm not sure if the profile is actually going to match even then, but first thing I got to do is get this door profile, this door to come out a bit, because this fender can't really go in because of the constraints of the hood. I may end up having to slit the brace behind here in the fender to get it to just sit flatter. That's very much a possibility. So what I did was, first thing, I just measured the gap back here, and I'm about a 1/16 too close consistently. So if I move the door forward a 1/16 to 65, 62 to 60 to 75 thou, then that will close this gap up, and I'm pretty consistently a 1/4 inch over here. So until you get down here, then it's correct. So, obviously there's going to be a lot of rework here. But first of all, what I did was I measured from this surface into the body at different locations and said, okay, that's where I need to be to match this fender. My idea being that if I take the fender off, I know how much the door has to come out without having to line it up with the fender to at least get it close. So the first thing I'm going to do is the door needs to come forward a hair. I'm not sure I can do that with the fender on. I may have to do that with the fender off. But the door certainly needs to come out. And it needs to come out like 0.25, 0.28 inches. 2.7, 2.8, 2.8. So that's quite a bit. It's a little over 1/4. I'm hoping there's enough movement on the bolts in the front hinges on the in the front surface of the door where the hinges allow you to adjust this way. Otherwise, I have to take the door off, open up the holes, get it so that it all works. But even down here, you can see my rocker panel and my fender are perfectly lined up. I mean, that's very, very nice down there. It's just the door is sitting way in, even down low. So that's what I'm going to try to do first. I'm going to try to see if ideally if I can move this thing forward an 1/8 of an inch, not an 1/8, about 75 thou to start. That will give me plenty of room to rework the back and close this up a little bit. Then I can slide the door out a little bit, try to get everything right, and then make the rear match the body line once the front is perfect or close to perfect. So that's the chore. That's the mission. I'm going to get going on that, see what I can do. And then I got some other, this stuff up here is notoriously bad. This is either going to be slit and laid in a little bit, but I'm waiting to see where the door ends up in this direction first. Then this is apparently the problem area everybody complains about. So I've got to, figure that all out once I get the door out to where it needs to be. But even up here, you can tell the doors comes out another, almost 1/4 of an inch up here, and I'm sitting pretty good. I mean, I don't know how it's very difficult to show this with the camera, but I'm about a 1/4 inch in here as well. So that's my mission. I'm going to start with that, see what I can do. I like to just write this stuff right on the door so I know when I go to, if the fender's off or if the fender's on, I know where I was and now I know where I need to be. Just, getting old. You can't remember stuff. So anyway, that's where I'm at, and the hood's still fitting great. I didn't put the front valance back on yet because this fender could come on and off a dozen times, or at least twice. So let me get started, and I'll bring you back when I show you what I'm into. All right, so on the bottom hinge, there was plenty of room. that kicked out quite nicely. There's plenty of travel. I'm pretty close. If anything, I'm a little too far out now, but it's pretty good. And then the middle, I'm still high on the fender, and the top, I'm still in a bit. I also got a little bit of a mismatch here now, so either the fender's got to come out or the door's got to go down a bit. I'm kind of leaning towards pushing the door down about 100 thou. Get that slid down. You can see this line here doesn't quite match. It's close, but I think if and I got a little too much gap right here at the bottom of the door, so I can get my finger in there even. So I'm gonna end up just sliding that door down a little bit. First things first though, I think I'm gonna pull the door off, open up the holes in the top hinge a little bit, use that opportunity to slide the two hinges forward a little bit, and maybe forward and down a hair. I don't know, we'll see. But then that should get me a little closer. The fender seems fatter. The fender seems to have more of a bulge. I may still end up splitting the brace right behind here just to get this to lay a little flatter. But you see, I'm starting to lose my alignment here too. So coming down a little bit with the door is a good idea at this point, I believe. So that's what I'm going to start with. Get that door off. Bring the door down about 1/8. Pull that, then open up the holes a little bit, and we should be better. So that's where I'm going to start. Like I said, I have plenty of adjustment on the bottom. That moved out super easy. The back still does not look bad profile-wise. Might be in a hair at the top, but not crazy. The bottom seems pretty good. The gap gets a little wide in the front, which is another reason why I just think I got to bring the front down a hair. So let me give that a go. I'm going to pop that door off and start working that so that I know everything is as good as it can be before I start working seams. But I think it's going to be, I got to pull the door anyway to rework the holes around that top hinge. You just kind of open the holes up a little bit so I can get more slide on the plate. If I do that, and that's a common thing. I mean, sometimes those plates aren't in the right place. The opening isn't quite right on the hole. So opening that up with a burr bit is a good idea. Once you kind of know where you're going with it. And so that's what I'm going to try to do. I'm going to pull the door. I'm going to slide the hinges forward, the 75 thou I need for the back. Then I'm going to open up then I'm going to slide the door hinges down just a whisker to get it where I want to be here. And we'll start with that. Okay, so the door's off, and this isn't exactly what I thought it was. So you can see this little bracket here where the plate is on the intern is not lined up super nice with the door opening. The door opening appears closer than this. So I'm going to relieve the side of this bracket a little bit that holds the nut plate in, just a little bit with the burr bit. But the bigger problem is this. There is plenty of travel this way, except when you look at that. There, I think you can, I'm trying to get it so you can see it, but there's a plate behind these holes that keeps the bolt from going that last bit. So that's what's really holding me up, is that plate in the inside of the door. Man, that's not helping, is it? That plate on the inside of the door is restricting travel quite a bit. You can see it there. So I can't, the top bolt doesn't have that restriction, but the two side ones certainly do. So I'm going to try to relieve that too. get enough adjustment and get it so that the nut kind of has the travel it's supposed, the nut plate has the travel it's supposed to have. It just looks like it's located totally wrong. So, and there's even a bolt hole here that's supposed to be lining it up, and you can see they didn't do a bang up job of getting that lined up. So I'm gonna pull the bolt out, hit it with this burr bit, and see if I can't open that up some, get more travel. All right, here's where I've gotten to. The back, the gap looks good now. A little bit of work and I can make that perfect. The body line matches. Body line matches here. Okay, body line's matching here, pretty good. I'm still, the profile doesn't quite match. And what I mean by that is if you look down this door, you can kind of see the fender sticks out in the middle. So if I look at the alignment here, it's pretty good, right? I mean, I'm right where I want to be. I've got no gap. That's looking good. Looking good this way. But when I start to come down this way, let me show this better. You know, I start to get wider and wider, and it kind of apexes right there, and then it comes down and it's good again down here. So this whole fender is kind of bulbous a little bit out this way. So I think the only thing I can do really to clean that up is to slit that brace behind this and just flatten this out a little bit. Put some more shims on the bottom, pull it down, push in as I'm doing it, and flatten it out. The other thing that's become obvious is I could easily, at least with this door, and I'm going to do the same thing on the other side before I get too froggy with this, but I think the smart play here is to move that nose back 1/8, because that'll help me here a lot. I got it to give. I got plenty of room to come back up here. I'm not concerned about that. I can go back pretty easily, actually. Just a couple of straps and I can haul that right back. So I think what I want to do is, first of all, probably repeat this procedure on the other side. Do the same thing, but you know, looking for input. If you think there's something better I can do to get this to match up. I mean, I'm not comfortable putting 1/8 of an inch of fill in here to get this feather back. There's really no reason for that. The fender is the problem. I'm pretty convinced of that. I mean, this profile matches great back here. It just looks too rounded up here. So I think that's what I'm gonna do. But I'm gonna put this out there. If anybody's got any ideas on a way to approach this, let's hear it. But right now, my best guess is loosen up the entire inner fender well, cut that brace in the back, cut it out to the panel or close to the panel, and then push this in and then weld, you know, which will spread open that gap a little bit as I push it back, and then just weld that back up. I think that's the way to go. Not 100% sure yet, but I know I've got really good alignment on my rocker to my fender. Even down there, though, I could come back 1/8 on that, not a problem. But if I come back 1/8, that will help with the gap, and then I can massage these edges and make that perfect. I can do the same thing in the back. Although my pin length seems to be struggling a bit right now too, but I'm gonna have to space the pin out a little. But that's my thought. I think that's the smart play, is to take that fender off, most likely, or take the door back off, probably easier. Slit that, and then pull this in about 100 thou, a little less than 1/8. And then once I get that worked in, work it down at the bottom so that, you know, that material has someplace to go, loosen that up, pull it down, add some more shim down there, and then slide the whole show back 1/8. I think that's what I'm going to do. But again, I'm throwing that out there. Let's see, here's some input, see what the internet has to say. I think that's the smart play right now, but I don't know. I'm gonna double check the other side and go through the same measurements. I don't really remember what I'm into over here, but I believe it's the same thing. And this one's not lined up nearly as good yet, but the profile seems better. I think if I brought this top out, my profile would match pretty closely, because it's pretty damn good down there right now. And it just looks like the top of the door has to come out a bit. And of course this is all jacked up. This one actually is closer than the other side. But we got to figure all that out. So that's probably the smart play. Do that same series of adjustments on this side. I am tight back here. I could go forward, should go forward. Get this scooched up. And I'm quite wide here too, so I could, that 1/8 inch is probably easily done on this side as well. You can see I moved it forward about 1/4 when I did that the last time, just to get everything to line up right on the nose, and it did, but I think I took a little too much, and I can take some of that back. The big thing is I just got to look down here and make sure I've got 1/8 to give on this bolt. If it went back 1/8, these gonna all bottom out again. If that's the case, then I might rethink that. But I'm gonna double check that too. But yeah, I think that's what I have to do over there, is I have to take that and just get that profile to match. You can see it's just, I don't want to try to fill that. That's just stupid. I think what I really need to do is just work this in a little bit, flatten this fender out some, and the only way I can see to do that is to slit that double brace that's right behind here, flatten that out, re-weld it. I should be able to pull the door off and do that. Come up with a way maybe even to strap it, pull it back in with a strap. Once I get to the right measurement, let's just start tacking and welding it back up. Should be okay. Also thinking maybe I can make like a cardboard template of this profile and then get this to match. But that'll be hard to do with cardboard, but we'll see. All right, so yeah, looking for some input. If anybody's got any bright ideas on this one, or I'm sure people have run into this before, so let's have a dialogue. Thank you.